Gentlemen, as if tokenization were just another fad that came and went, I'm beginning to believe that most people have written it off entirely. However, it's evident from looking at what's going on behind the scenes that the largest financial reset in modern history is being erected covertly right in front of everyone's eyes. The most absurd aspect is that XRP is directly in the middle of it. Because they are viewing the cryptocurrency market as if it were still 2017, the majority of people don't understand it. They believe that hype, conjecture, and memes still dominate this field. However, this subsequent. Instead, the tsunami of tokenization is just utilitarian and is already creating irreversible network effects that will soon replace everything. Please allow me to clarify. Isn't it common for people to mention Bitcoin's ascent to prominence? However, Bitcoin's usefulness did not drive its price to soar. The network effect caused it to blow up. It was purchased, discussed, and exchanged, and the sheer volume of desire generated its own gravity. Imagine the same network effect now, but applied to an asset that genuinely transfers real value every single second of the day all over the world. One ledger is used to record payments, stablecoins, physical assets, and institutional DeFi. XRP is that. And the demand is being generated by more than simply individual traders this time. It is immediately plugged into by international banks, payment processors, and financial infrastructure. The thing is this. The old laws of value absolutely collapse when you add those network effects to real volume, real transactions, and real money flowing through it. Everyone enjoys yelling market cap, as though it were the limit. But you may disregard market capitalization when a network does trillions of transactions every day of the year. The velocity is what counts, not the photo. A network does not gain value like a company if it is in charge of transferring global value. It gains value similar to that of infrastructure. And people aren't seeing that reality. XRP is not merely a speculative coin that aspires to be adopted in the future. It's the bridge being subtly constructed beneath the world's monetary system. And the demand shock will change people's perceptions of what price even means once the switch is flipped and those tokenized assets, stable coins, and institutional rails go live. That is the strength of utility and network impact. I want you to just consider this before we continue. It was solely due to retail speculation that Bitcoin reached its trillion-dollar worth. With tokenization, stable coins, and payments all taking place on the same rails, XRP is poised to experience institutional-grade demand. Tell me which one has the more potential for success. From this point on, this isn't just hype, so let's back it up with some actual data. It is currently taking place. Around $36 billion is the entire value of real-world assets, or RWA, that have already been tokenized on-chain. It sounds good, doesn't it? The worst part is that over the past 30 days, that figure has increased by just 5%. In contrast, the number of transfers has increased by more than 80%, reaching $194 billion in a single month. Slow adoption isn't what that is. That is the initial phase of the formation of an exponential curve. What's driving this? Enormous change in value. Stable currency. Stablecoin flow is currently the foundation of tokenization, and it's completely crazy. The monthly volume of transfers is $5 trillion. Take a moment to process the information. That isn't conjecture. That is actual money flowing at scale through digital railroads. This is where XRP enters the picture, as it was created for high throughput, instant settlement, low cost, and, above all, institutional grade infrastructure, which is already being connected to by actual banks, funds, and payment systems. Hallways. There is no preparation for tokenization of the XRP ledger. It's doing it already. The majority of folks aren't even aware of what's going on underneath since we're still so early. Let me give you another blow, though. Centralized exchanges are exhibiting flaws, despite stablecoins experiencing a surge. Reports of frozen accounts, delayed withdrawals, and monies becoming stranded on platforms like MEC are becoming more frequent. For this reason, on-chain infrastructure and true custody are important. And it's precisely the reasons behind the success of systems like IT Trust Capital that use institutional-grade custody. The same idea underlies transparency, control, and tokenization itself. And that's why the benefit of XRP is so obvious. It is designed to meet this new movement criteria. Value transfer on a large scale, not gambling or casino trading. And you know that tokenization hasn't really begun when you see that $5 trillion is already moving across stablecoins each month. It hits you at that point. The first inning of a multi-trillion-dollar game is currently underway. Change and ready to seize it. XRP is positioned in the ideal spot. Because when you think about it, the value of everything in the world, bonds, real estate, and stocks, is preparing to go on-chain. Rails are eventually required for every transaction, asset, and cross-border payment. What's already created for it, you ask? XRP. After setting the scene, let's focus on the XRP ledger itself, because this is a quietly enormous situation. There are currently 23 tokenized assets active on the XRPPL chain, and that number is increasing weekly. This comprises institutional money market funds, stablecoins, and treasury bills. Furthermore, these are not merely retail trials. These are the initial actions taken by the biggest banks globally to transfer actual assets to Ripple's network. Consider the institutional-grade stablecoin issued by Ripple, RAUSD. It is already gaining significant traction, approaching $1.1 billion in market capitalization and on the verge of entering the top 10 stablecoins in the world. Here's the crazy part. Tokenization is being done directly with RAUSD. It goes beyond simple trading. Pair or a token of DeFi. Use cases such as custodial systems and tokenized bonds are incorporating it. And it doesn't end there. Ripple already has active agreements with DBS, the biggest bank in Singapore, and Franklin Templeton, one of the top asset managers globally. Press releases are not all that these are. They are developing directly on the XRP ledger and utilizing Ripple's RAUSD to provide tokenized money market funds and lending products. That isn't conjecture. That is the actual process of institutional adoption. Time. Consider the implications of that. We are no longer discussing possibility for the future. On top of XRP's rails, we are seeing the construction of the new financial systems basis. Tokenized treasuries, stablecoins, and institutional assets are now housed on the same rails that were created years ago to facilitate seamless international transfers. Evolution is that. It's still early too. The ecosystem surrounding XRP is only the beginning of what will happen when significant financial products, such as tokenized bonds and on-chain funds, start to expand internationally, since the actual network effects start to manifest at this point. As you can see, the value of the underlying asset, in this case XRP, does not just rise linearly when several billion-dollar organizations interact on the same ledger. It is a compound. The demand for liquidity increases as value flows, and that directly affects the price and usefulness of XRP. Now, this goes beyond hype and conjecture. It has to do with infrastructure. Additionally, when DBS, Franklin, Templeton, and BlackRock all decide to. One thing is evident when you experiment with or implement tokenized assets on XRP's rails. We've already seen the network impact. It's tiny, but it's genuine, and it will be unstoppable once it scales. This is where things start to become really fascinating, since what we're witnessing from Ripple isn't isolated. Even the largest financial institutions are publicly stating that it is a part of a huge global swing. Consider BlackRock, the biggest asset management in the world. At a Bloomberg event a few days ago, CEO, there was no dancing around it for Larry Fink. He stated unequivocally that we intend to use blockchain technology to tokenize all financial assets.